Hey y'all, before we get into this video, I wanted to give y'all a list of the products that I will be using during this video. Lock-In is my absolute favorite braid gel. That's all I use right now. And then I'm using my Slay band, and I have my Lock-In on there with some clips. And then I'm using these combs by Kiss, which I got on Amazon, which can be in my Amazon storefront. These are all that I use when it comes to combs. So right now I'm starting off with the nape area, and in this video I am going to be giving y'all some tips on like how you can become faster by creating a method as you go with knotless braids. Now these are mediums. Somehow whenever I decide to record, I realize that I keep doing mediums, so maybe next time I'll do another size for y'all, but this is for my medium size right now. So my first row is going to have 3 braids on it, and I did see a lot of requests to show how I pulled the hair off of the braid rack or whatever. I don't really have a braid rack, y'all. I'm going to show y'all. So really I just use thumbnails for my braid hair, which I'm going to show y'all in the video. But right now let's talk about braid placement. So right now you see me blending in the lock-in with the comb, and I'm trying to place the braid at the center of the box because this is going to give it that flip over easy method. So boom, here we are. This is how my hair is laid out. I have 5 thumbtacks, and I just pull some hair off the bundle and just braid it like that. Like, I don't use a big braid rack. Braid racks really would take up too much space in my hair room, so this is just what's convenient for me. And when I say I pull the hair as I go, this is literally what I mean. And I just wanted to demonstrate it in this video at the beginning so that you could visually see what I mean when I say I pull the hair as I go, because I literally just pull the hair as I go. Also, the more that you start to do knotless braids, the easier it is to come up with a set method. So typically when I'm in the nape area, I like to have at least 3 rows if I can try to fit 3 rows on the person's nape. Sometimes 2 rows may not be enough on the nape for me because I like a fuller look with my knotless braids. So I like to do at least 3 rows. And on this first row, it's going to be 3 braids. So on the next row, it will be 4. And then on the third row, it will be 5. And I'm going to show y'all exactly like what I mean. But that's just a breakdown of like the rows, how many braids on each row, because I do see that in comments a lot. So I just wanted to tell y'all that. And also remember that your first braid is your guide. So you want all of your braids to be just like the first braid in consistency and in the length. I am a braider that likes to tie knots at the end of my braids. This gives the braid security and it will not unravel this way. So that's how I like to do it. Now, like I told y'all before, on the first row it is 3 braids. So when you get to that second row, it's going to be like 1 more braid than what you had before. So if the first row is 3 braids, then the next row will be 4. If your first row was 4 braids, then the next row will be 5. So really that's just how you go. And you can tell how many braids you're gonna have just by laying them down. For me, I just come up with a method and it makes my process quicker. A lot of my clients tell me all the time that I braid pretty fast, but it's really because I have a parting method already in my head before I even start. So once I get to this third row, I already know that that's the final row of the nape. So my third row has 5 braids. I call this method the bricklayer method. Some people say it's the stagger part method, whatever. But all it is the braids laying in between each other. This gives the fuller illusion and it gives less of a scalpy look, which I hate. I do not like a scalpy look at all. But I like for each braid to be in between each other. And now I'm just going to show you how I do a knotless braid again. This time I'm not going to be showing how I pull the hair because I already showed it at the beginning of the video. But the way that I feed the hair in is I put it in between my index finger and my thumb. And you want to start with like smaller pieces so that the base will lay flat, because you don't want a bulky base. And basically I'm forming like a C with my fingers and just holding the hair with my ring finger and my pinky finger to give it a good grip for me to be able to feed it in. And when I'm gripping it at the top, I just like to have a tight grip on it so that the braid will stay in place and that the base of the braid is tight and it won't slip. You also just want to make sure that you have a nice tight grip on it so that the base can be really nice. You don't want your roots to look wavy. You want them to look really nice and flat. And by just maintaining the tight grip, that's what this is going to give. And then you take your product and just put that on the client's actual hair, and just remember to tuck. By tucking, I promise you the braids will last forever. This is my regular, and she comes, and after 6 weeks she'll come in for a touch-up. She'll wear them for like 6 more weeks, let her hair breathe for about 2 weeks, and then we'll do a fresh install. But by that 6th week, no braids are out of place. It's just her new growth is there. So just make sure you tuck, because the braids will last forever. And also make sure each braid is the same length, because that's really important. You don't want some longer than the other ones, because that's just not a good look when you're doing knotless braids. Now her entire nape area is finished, and it's time to begin the side-by-side parting. Now I'm going to give y'all a lot of tips, because I feel like with this method a lot of people get lost when it comes to doing the top of the head. But really you just want to make sure that your parts are even all the way through with this method. So take your time with the parting. Literally, like, pay attention to how your part is on the left side, because you want it to be even to the right side, so that way it's not lopsided once you get to the middle of the top, which I'm going to show y'all as the video goes along. But I also like to use locking in the parting area because it makes my parts more crisp, and this is just how I clean my part to give it that crispy look. And by doing this you can see your part better. And yeah, with this you just want to make sure they're even on both sides, and make sure you're cross-checking when you're doing your client's hair like this. Make sure you go in the front and make sure that both sides are lined up with each other, because if you don't do that, I promise you they'll start getting lopsided, and by the time you get to the middle it will not be even. Now when I'm doing this parting method, I already know for my medium sized braids, I like for it to be 5 rows on the left and 5 rows on the right. So basically that's 2 rows already on the top. So I'm going to do 1 more row going side by side, just like you see them right now. And then after I do that 1 row, I'm going to show y'all how I break down the middle rows to make it be even. And it's a good way to finish out the middle when you're doing just a parting as you go method. But this, I promise y'all, this is my go-to method, and when I get in my zone with this, it's a quick process. Okay, so this is the last row on that side. As you can see, I have 3 rows right now, so I want there to be 2 more rows on this side, and then on the other side it's going to be the same exact way. So now I'm just going to step in front of her just to make sure that both sides are even, like I told y'all before. And that middle part is basically right in the center the way I want it to be. Both sides are lined up with the rows, which is perfect. So with this last section, I just like to split it straight down the middle. And when you're doing this middle part, y'all, please stand in front of your client to make sure that part is in the middle, because you do not want them walking around with a crooked part. You want that part to be bust down right in the middle of her forehead. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to step in front of her just to make sure the part is where I want it to be, which is right down the middle, which it was. And then I'm going to clean that up so it can be nice and crisp. And then I'm going to take both sides and split them in half, but I'm going to work one side at a time. So I'm going to just start on the left side and split that into two sections. And I'm also going to do the same thing when I get to the right side. And you want to remember the same amount of braids on both of these two rows that you're doing on the left side is the same amount of braids that you want to have on the right side. So when I split this in half, that first row is going to have 5 braids and the second row is going to have 6 braids. So when I go to the other side, the first row is going to have 5 braids and the other row is going to have 6 braids as well. This is how I would just have my process in my head. So I already know once I get to this section that I'm on right now with all the rows put together, I know it's going to be 11 on each side, because I've already done a breakdown of how many braids are going to be on each row. So that just makes my process quicker, because I'm already mapping out my partings before I even part. And I feel like when you do this, it makes it so much easier, because you already know how many parts you have to do. You already know you already have your rhythm in your process. So I always say, when you're doing knotless braids, create a rhythm that works for you, because it will make your process so much smoother. So now I'm finished with this section, and as you can see, I have the 5 braids on the first row, and on the very top row there's going to be 6 braids, and I'm going to do the exact same thing to the other side. And this is just how I finish out my knotless braids and have them looking even. And yeah, that's just my rhythm that works for me, y'all. So I hope these tips were really good for you. I have a few more tips with doing the finishing touches, so just stay tuned for that. If you've made it this far, I hope my video was very helpful to you. Make sure you mash that subscribe button and become a member of the Slay Gang. And I will have more videos coming for you. Thank you so much, y'all. We are on the road to 40K. Bye.